The first time Leo Kesler saw time fracture, he thought it was a migraine. He was in line at his usual coffee shop, the familiar symphony of grinding beans and steamed milk a comforting hum. The woman in front of him, in a gray coat, reached for her latte. Her hand passed through the paper cup. Not through it. It was as if, for a single frame of reality, the cup was not there. Her fingers closed on empty air. The cup sat on the counter, untouched. She blinked, grabbed it, and walked away, oblivious. Leo stood frozen. He had seen the ghost of an action that never happened. A possibility that flickered and died. He was a copy editor for a small press. A man who found solace in the order of words, the rules of syntax. This was a typo in reality itself. He dismissed it. Stress. I strain. He drank his coffee, but the taste was now laced with unease. The second fracture was harder to ignore. He was arguing on the phone with his sister about their mother's care. His frustration was a hot coal in his chest. As his voice rose, he saw it. A jagged, translucent line, like a crack in old glass, appeared in the air of his living room. It hung there, shimmering with a faint, sickly light. Through it, for a fleeting second, he saw a different room. His living room, but darker. The furniture was covered in sheets. Dust motes danced in a sliver of light from a boarded-up window. A version of his home abandoned. The crack sealed itself with a soundless snap. The familiar, sunlit room returned. The phone was dead in his hand. He went to a neurologist. The scans were clean. No tumors, no epilepsy. Stress can manifest in extraordinary ways, the doctor said, her tone kind but final. Your brain is showing you metaphors for your anxiety. The covered furniture. The spilled coffee you fear making. It's protective. It's showing you worst-case scenarios to prepare you. But Leo knew it wasn't that. The images weren't fears. They were too specific, too mundane in their detail. They felt like memories. But not his own. He began to observe. The fractures were small at first. A child's ball rolling through a patch of grass that briefly appeared as concrete. A businessman's tie flickering between blue and red. They were moments of dissonance, like a film reel with a few frames from a different movie spliced in. He realized they clustered around people. People experiencing strong, negative emotion. The woman in the coffee shop had been anxiously checking her phone. His own anger had triggered the larger crack. He started a journal. Noting times, locations, the emotional weather around the fractures. He called them slipstreams. Moments where the smooth flow of time hit a patch of turbulence, and a different, discarded timeline bubbled up. Then he met the man in the park. He was older, unkempt, sitting on a bench and muttering to a pigeon. They changed the bench, the man said to no one. It was green before. A darker green. With little wrought iron flowers. She loved the flowers. Leo sat down cautiously. Who changed it? The man looked at him, eyes surprisingly clear. The city. Last year. But it wasn't last year. It was, it's hard to keep the when straight. He tapped his temple. I remember both. The green bench yesterday. The gray bench today. Which is real? Leo felt a chill. This man wasn't mentally ill in the conventional sense. He was experiencing permanent, low-level fractures. He was stranded between two timelines. Do you see cracks? Leo asked softly. In the air. Like broken glass. The man's eyes widened in recognition, then fear. You see them too. Don't follow them. Don't look too close. They look back. Before Leo could ask more, the man hurried away, casting terrified glances at the perfectly solid air around him. the incident shifted something in Leo. This wasn't a personal hallucination. It was a phenomenon. And he was not the only perceiver. The journal entries grew more frantic. He theorized. What if time wasn't linear? What if it was a vast, fragile structure? And traumatic events, pain, loss, violence, acted like blows against that structure, creating microfractures. Most people's minds automatically edited them out, smoothing over the crack. But some, like him, like the homeless man, had a perceptual flaw. A sensitivity. They saw the damage. The theory was terrifying. It meant the world was literally breaking, and only a handful of people could see the cracks. The first major fracture event happened on a Tuesday afternoon. He was walking through the financial district. A man in an expensive suit stumbled out of a building, his face ashen. Leo felt it before he saw it. A pressure drop. A silence that wasn't acoustic, but existential. Then, the world glitched. The entire facade of the skyscraper flickered. For 3 full seconds, it was a different building. Older, shorter, with Art Deco detailing. People on the street were dressed in clothes from the late 1980s. Cars were boxy, dull-colored models. The sound was wrong, muffled, with the distant rumble of different engines. The air smelled of old cigarettes and leaded gasoline. It was a full-blown echo of a past that, in this timeline, had been demolished and replaced decades ago. Leo stood, paralyzed, as hundreds of people walked through the ghost building, utterly unaware. They were phantoms in his present, or he was a ghost in theirs. Then, with a gut-wrenching lurch, the present reasserted itself. The modern glass tower was back. No one stopped. No one screamed. A woman bumped into him. "Watch where you're going," she snapped, walking on. He vomited in an alley. The sheer scale of it. This wasn't a cup or a room. This was a city block. The fracture was massive. What kind of emotional trauma could cause that? He went home, dug into the history of that address. He found it. In 1989, the original building had been the site of a massive, fraudulent investment firm collapse. Thousands of people lost their life savings. A wave of suicides, heart attacks, broken families. A concentrated point of profound, collective despair and betrayal. It was proof. Trauma cracked time. And the bigger the trauma, the bigger the crack. That night, sitting in the dark, he understood his gift for what it was. He wasn't a seer. He was a canary in a coal mine. He was sensing the structural faults in reality itself. And the fractures weren't just passive scars. The homeless man's warning echoed. They look back. What looked back from a wound in time? His answer came a week later. He was investigating a minor fracture in a quiet suburb, a garden fence that sometimes appeared picket, sometimes chain link. As he focused on the shimmering discontinuity, he felt a new sensation. Not just seeing the crack, but feeling a pull. A curiosity from the other side. And then, clear as a whisper in a silent room, a thought that was not his own slipped into his mind. It was a simple, cold, alien sentence. The fracture is a door. We are the ones who closed it. Why are you trying to open it again? Leo jerked back, breaking his focus. The street was empty. The fence was just a fence. But the words remained, etched into his consciousness. They held a tone of weary, ancient authority. And a profound, chilling accusation. He had been wrong. The cracks weren't just damage. They were seals. Barricades. And something had put them there for a reason. He was poking at the locks. And now, something on the other side had noticed. This concludes part 1 of The Shattered Present. The pane of glass is cracked. And Leo has just put his eye to the break. Something in the darkness has met his gaze.